How's everybody? Hello, Hong Kong. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Oh wow, Egypt, nice. Thank you. All right, so I guess tonight we just take it a bit slow and chill and easy, making this Basque cheesecake, and it's gonna be a mini version. Yeah, I am in Melbourne right now, and if the music in the background is too loud, just let me know. Just got some background music going on. So for those who are baking along, just wanted to say, I know I mentioned previously to preheat the oven to 240 degrees Celsius, but can you please preheat it at 200 instead? And I'll tell you the reason for that, because I had a few messages essentially regarding the baking pans and that you will be using. So let me put my tea away. Yes, the roti boy recipe. I know. I've got to make it. I've got to record it. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, so while everybody's just logging on, I guess I'm just gonna talk through the tins that we're using today. I am using these cake rings, and this cake ring is basically 7 cm. It's, as you can see, it's not tapered or anything, it's just straight edge, and it's about, how tall is it? It's, sorry, I got my ruler here. It's 3.5 centimeters, so about 1 1/4 inch to 1 1/2 inch if you're in America. And yeah, so that's this ring. I'll be using this, but I know a lot of you won't, so you can use things like this. Basically what you want is something that's tall if you can, because that allows you to put more batter in, and more batter means that you get that contrast in texture that you get in the 6-inch ones, a 6-inch cake one that is on the blog and on YouTube. And so this is an option. This is what I'll be using. This is another option. Obviously, as you can see, I'm just gonna move the camera down so you can actually see what I've got in front of me. You can see a difference. So I've got a few tins over here just as an example. We've got the regular cupcake tin, and I can't see your messages because it's facing down, so I'll have to bend to read. The size of this is a cupcake tin. As you can see, it's really shallow as compared to what I'm using. So what I'm using is this, which is about this height, if you can see. It's not too much of a difference, but there is some difference to it. It is size-wise, it is pretty much the same. The only difference is obviously this is straight and that's tapered, so it holds less. However, you've got this, and this increases the height of it, so you can now put more batter in it if you've got a muffin liner. Some cupcake liners are lower. This is obviously a bigger cupcake liner that's a muffin liner. Alternatively, to give us more height and to allow us to fill more batter in it, we can use baking paper and we'll, line the tins that way. So that's this for cupcake tins, which is probably what most of you will have at home, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, so that's that. But I'm not sure if you have muffin tins at home, but these are my muffin tins, and it's a lot bigger than the cupcake ones, as you can see, and they will work fine as well. Yeah, so this is easier than actually using your own baking paper if you are lazy, and you could just use this liners. That's a lot easier. Alternatively, you've got those sorry. So you've got those I don't have them, but they're the paper cupcake liners that just stand alone on their own. You can also use that to bake. The only issue is that you're not going to get the heat transference from the metal to the paper itself, so it might take longer to bake through, which might actually be better for these smaller ones, and we'll go through it. and all the pains that I've suffered through the last 2 days trying to get this to the state it is. So yeah, so those are the tins. Do you have any questions? Let me see if you got any questions right now. I'm glad you like your chocolate chip cookies. Yeah, so difference between regular cheesecake and a Basque cheesecake. I mean, if you're talking regular, I assume you mean your New York cheesecake, the baked ones. I mean, this doesn't really have any. The texture is different. That's the first thing. I would say this is actually, depending on which recipe you use, it could be more intense. But the main difference is that there is no base to this. So there is no cookie base, biscuit base, or sponge base on this cake, and the top is obviously burnt, as per the name. So yeah, that's the tint. So if you're actually baking along, start lining your tins, and if you've already lined it, that's perfect. So what you could use is baking paper, and I've sliced them into this size. I've got mine lined over here, and you'll notice there are 3 different heights. I'll explain that later when we get to that stage. It's just something that I want to. Oops, it's just something I want to test on my side. But all you gotta do is with this, you take a tin, you chuck it in, you press it down, it gives you a good shape. You've seen the video, you know, it's the same logic. Oops, sorry. Making a lot of noise. Alright, so as you can see, this gives it a lot more height, but there's not a lot of structure to it. You're probably going to need 2 papers, because that way you have more structure when you fill it up and it doesn't just flatten out. So that would be my recommendation. Double it up if you can. If you have anything that is mold that is taller, bigger, wider, that'd be better. More consistent in the shape will be better as well. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Another thing that you wanna do is that you don't want it to be overhanging that much, because what's gonna happen is that when you're baking it, because we're putting on the top third of the oven, you're gonna burn this bit. So I'll take a scissors and I'll suggest slicing it off just to give it a bit of height, but you don't want it to, you know, just touch the grill and start a fire in your oven. So yeah. Alright. Hopefully that's the end of me hitting things and making a mess in here. If you got rings, you can just fold it over and that works as well. To give you the same, as consistent of a bake as mine, I'm going to give you grammage to how many grams is going to go into each mold. So we're going to measure it out and get it consistent in weight. So yeah. So that should help. Yeah, what else before we start? Ramekin works as well, that's fine. It takes longer for it to heat up, which is actually, like I said, it's a good thing. So we get on to the next thing on the agenda, which is, before we start baking, the temperature and the time. So currently we've got it preheated to 200. I know I said 240, and the reason why we're going at 200 is I had a few messages about the concerns of your non-stick pans not being oven safe beyond 220. So yeah, we're just gonna drop the temperature down. What we're gonna do when we bake is that we're gonna put it in and then we're gonna grill it. So currently it's not on grill mode. Currently we're just having it as a regular convection mode with a fan going in and just having that consistent heat as we make the batter. If the temperature is too high and you over bake it, what's gonna happen is that you'll notice that your cheesecake is gonna curdle. So naturally, the more batter you've got in that small size, with more height, means it's gonna take longer to bake through. Therefore, you have more of that contrast in the texture. So that would be my suggestion. If you can chuck more batter into that tin, that'd be better. Yeah. So I would say, in essence, that really is it. We're going with your cupcake size and yeah, I don't think there's anything else to that. You don't want it to split, obviously, if it bake, because there's a lot of fat in this. And then the last bit is the flavors. Now, this recipe is not the same as the one that's on the blog, so we're gonna go with Hojicha today, just to switch things up. I'm also not using just cream cheese and cream, but using mascarpone as well in it. It gives it a bit of richness to it. I like the flavor, it gives it a bit more of a thicker consistency. Once again, it's a preference. If you can't find it, use whipped cream, not whipped cream, but thickened cream or heavy cream. To be sure you're getting the right cream, fat percentage of 35% would be my recommendation. So yeah, and yeah, if you don't like Hojicha, use matcha, and I guess we'll start. So first thing first, no, I haven't made deep fried mantou yet. I've tried making some buns, like steam buns, and they were fine. I just could be better. Low fat cheese. I've never used low fat cheese, so we're going on to a cheese because now we're at the cheese bit. My cheese is not soft, so I stuffed up, and it's not soft, but it's fine. We're gonna nuke it. I'm gonna nuke it in a microwave, just to get it nice and soft. For maybe 10-15 seconds, and that'll be fine. I'm using the Philadelphia cheese, cream cheese. I know there are other brands that you can find depending on where you are. This is the most common one I can find in the supermarket. You can find other brands, but they bake up differently. The milk solid content causes it to burn differently. I know there's another brand in Singapore. I can't remember what it's called, but it burns a lot faster. So it might actually be preferable for the smaller ones if you want to get that really quick caramelized top quickly. So yeah, the fat content of this cheese is 29.3 grams per 100 grams, so 29.3%. So we're gonna go with 100 grams of this cream cheese. So if you've got your bowl, let's get going. And let's weigh out 100 grams. Need a knife. Alright, so I'm gonna need 100 grams. So yeah, that's 100 grams in there. Like I said, mine it's soft, but it's not as soft as I'd like it to be. It's just gonna make it harder to mix. So what I'm gonna do is gonna put this in the microwave for about 7 seconds, just to give it a quick blast, just to heat it up. It's not that soft, so I'm putting it in 7 seconds. Fat content of the mascarpone that I'm using is 45 grams per 100 grams, or 45%. So yeah, this is the cheese, and it should be, you're gonna need a whisk, and it should be pretty soft. Don't know if you can see, but yeah, it's soft enough. Makes it easier to just mix it up. I didn't go to cooking school, no. Yeah, just a lot of books and reading. So we're just gonna quickly give it a good mix. And let's see. That? Yeah, can you see that? Yep, okay. Alright, so we're just gonna quickly mix it up. We've got 100 grams, as you can see, 100 grams of cream cheese. Then we're gonna add in 50 grams of mascarpone. Alright, that's 50 grams. So we've got 50 grams of the mascarpone, don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah. And let me have a look to see whether you have any questions. Sorry. You could use sour cream. Wouldn't use Greek yogurt. The flavors of Greek yogurt doesn't really work that well. You could use sour cream, or you could just use regular thickened cream. Flavor is different. Mascarpone is a lot more subtle, but it has a nice milky, creamy consistency. So yeah, it's just a flavor preference, and obviously it changes the fat content as well. So sub the same amount in weight, so put 50 grams in. I wouldn't go more for sure. Keep it at 50 grams. And then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna put thickened cream. So I've got cream. And we're gonna be putting 64 grams of cream. Alright, 64. So yeah, that's 64 grams of cream. And then what we're gonna do is, you can just whisk it up, but I like this flavor of the cheese, at least in this particular one, the small ones, to be a little bit more pungent. So I've got some Parmesan cheese, and you can grate some. I'll grate in about a teaspoon. You don't have to. It smells brilliant, but it just gives it more of a savory flavor to it. So if you're making the plain ones, the cheese flavor will be a bit stronger, and I like that. You don't have to, like I said, it's just a preference. We're just putting a teaspoon is not really too much. I don't bother weighing it. I just go by eye when I grate it in. So yeah, I'm not sure what thickened cream we've got in Singapore. Maybe someone could help out if you're in Singapore. Yeah, I'm making the mini Hojicha Basque cheesecake. So we're gonna grate some cheese in, just a touch. So yeah, like I said, I like the flavor of it, and that's just me. You don't have to. But yeah, so we're just gonna give it a good mix. And not splash it all over myself when I mix. Cool. So it should be this consistency. It's relatively thick. Yeah. That's it for the cheese bit. And then we're gonna add the egg in. And yeah, so let's see if I've got any other questions. All right, so I've got an egg here, one large egg. So the cream cheese that I've got, like I said, if you saw the start, it was out of the fridge for only 10 minutes, and I just chuck it into the microwave for 7 seconds, blast, twice, so 7 seconds and 7 seconds and 14 seconds in total, just to get it soft, depending on obviously how your cheese start off. You're not trying to cook it, you're just trying to make it soft so it's easy to whisk. And yeah, and so we're gonna whisk this up, but we're not gonna use all these, the whole egg. We're gonna be using 46 grams of egg. Yeah, so grab a fork and start beating it up until it's nice and smooth. The egg is not cold, the egg is at room temperature. If your egg is cold, what I recommend is quickly dunking it in some warm water, and that should warm the egg up so that it's about room temperature. I don't believe it's the same, but have a look at the fat content, because different places will name the thickened cream differently. So it could be named whipping cream where you are, it could be named something else, I'm not really sure. I'm just trying to beat it until I get it nice and smooth. So yeah, that's good enough. So we're gonna pour about 46 grams in. One more about, we're gonna pour 46 grams in. So that's 46 grams in there. The egg actually helps you set, sorry, it's not, it's missing maybe a little. So the egg helps you set, sorry, I realized. Hi Raven. So yeah, the egg actually helps you set the mixture. There is no flour in this. If you're baking the plain version, you have cornstarch, but in this instance, we're going with Hojicha. So just give it a whisk and get it mixed in. Get it nice and smooth. It's a very simple recipe and it's pretty quick to put together. So yeah, I'm hoping that if you're baking along, your mixture is similar in consistency. Not too thick, not too thin. If you're using thickened cream rather than mascarpone, then obviously it'll be thinner, but that's fine. So yeah, thank you for the badge, Raymond. It's really nice. Yeah, so that's yeah, so that's it for the cream cheese, eggs, and yeah, the next bit we're going to is sugar. So talking about sugar, the sugar helps with the caramelization, so along with the milk proteins, which gives it that nice dark layer on top. So today I'm going to be using caster sugar and dark brown sugar. You don't have to use dark brown sugar, you can use just caster sugar, or you can use all dark brown sugar. You can use coconut sugar, you can use light brown, whatever you want. To be honest, I like the mix of both. Because of Hojicha, because we're doing a Hojicha version, I like the flavor that the dark brown sugar imparts into it. Previously I used to use the black sugar, but it's just a pain to have to grind the black sugar up because it can get quite lumpy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add 24 grams of caster sugar and 24 grams of the dark brown sugar into this, along with a pinch of salt. And salt will just elevate the flavor. You don't have to, once again, it comes down to your not salty, but how savory you want your cheesecake to be. I just like a touch of it just to, you know, balance it all out. So let's get on with that. We're going with 24 grams, if you can see, yep, there. If I'm going too fast for anyone, please let me know so I can just slow down. Yeah. Or if you have any questions at any point that I have yet to address, please let me know as well. Now, as you can see, the sugar tends to be a bit moist. Everybody's favorite would. If yours is very lumpy, just give it a quick break. Like break it up with your fingers quickly, and you know, that should do the trick. But don't worry if it doesn't, if it's still lumpy, because once it goes in, it'll start melting into the actual cheese mix that we've got in there. So 24 grams. I should have about 24 in here. Yeah, there we go. So that's 24 grams in there, and I'm gonna do a pinch of salt. So thank you, Narima, for the badge. Really appreciate it. So yeah, hi hi Yuzi from Jakarta. Nice. I've never actually been there before. And yeah, you can use all brown sugar if you like. It won't have a... Okay, so there's not a lot of sugar in this cake, if you notice. So the brown sugar flavor is not going to be very, very prominent. But it does give that slight molassy flavor. Light brown sugar has a lighter less molasses in it, so it's a lighter flavor as compared to dark brown. So yeah, just balance it out. So if you're using caster sugar, 48 grams, yes. If you want it less sweet, you could go with 45, because dark brown sugar isn't as sweet as caster sugar, so, well, white sugar. So yeah, that's that bit. And then I've got some salt. I'm not gonna give you a measurement for this because it's really a very little amount of salt. Essentially, this is a pinch of salt that I'm using, which is that. If I were to put a measurement to it, it'd be 1/1/16 maybe. I don't have a measuring spoon that will give me that, but pinch of salt, and it goes. Don't forget, I actually grated some Parmesan into mine as well, so mine is a bit more savory. But like I said, I like it that way. So just mix it up, get it nice and mixed. Okay, so we're just gonna let this sit for a second whilst we talk about the next bit, which is vanilla extract. And if you got fresh lemon juice, you can use fresh lemon juice. Otherwise, I've got some bottled lemon juice, which I'm just gonna use in this instance. You don't even have to use lemon juice. It makes it more acidic. If you don't like yours to be that sour, I would not add it. You could just leave it out. And if you like a stronger vanilla flavor, you can add more of the vanilla extract. I go with extract. You could go with vanilla bean paste, that'd be good. Vanilla beans itself would be great, but it's pricey. And yeah, I wouldn't go with vanilla flavoring or vanilla essence because the flavor is different. So if you can, just get some extract. And what we're gonna do is half a teaspoon of the vanilla extract and half a teaspoon of lemon juice. So we're gonna go with the half teaspoon. I've got a half teaspoon here. I realize I've said so many times this evening. Already got to stop that. Bit of a nervous habit. Alright, half a teaspoon in. And another half a teaspoon of lemon juice. Lowest amount you can amend the recipe to. I would say for sugar wise, hard to say I haven't tried lowering it too much. 40 grams I've tried. I've not tried lower than that. You might not get a color in it, and the flavor will be very, very, you'll almost get a quiche if you don't put sugar in it. So I would just beware of that fact. I wouldn't remove the sugar that much. It's not very sweet. If you taste the batter right now, you realize it's actually pretty well balanced in my mind. So yeah, thank you for the badge, yes sir, beloved 30. And yeah, so yeah, so if you don't add sugar, it's gonna turn into a quiche. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not really the cheesecake that we're baking today. All right, that's it for all the liquid ingredients. The last bit we're gonna add is the Hojicha. Now, I've got Hojicha powder here, and there's dark roasted Hojicha powder. I'm going with a regular Hojicha powder. If you love the dark roasted chocolatey flavor, this is fantastic. I really like it, and I usually use Zen Wonders. Shout out to them. I bought these, but yeah, I would recommend that if you're looking for Hojicha, and they do ship internationally, I believe. So yeah, check them out if you can. So we're going to go with 3 teaspoons, which is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of Hojicha powder, which should be about 5 grams of the powder. It's going to be quite intense in flavor. If you don't want it to be that intense, when I say quite intense, I mean, you know, I like my matcha goods to taste like matcha, like hit me with the flavor of matcha. Similarly with the Hojicha, I like it to have that flavor. So 5 grams will be what we're gonna add to it. And in this instance, I know not everybody is gonna be making a Hojicha flavor or a matcha flavor. You might be doing a regular one. And since that is the case, I'm trying to hold back from saying so. Since that is the case, you could use cornstarch. And for cornstarch, you're gonna be putting about 3 grams in. I did 5 grams yesterday. It really does set it, and it gives it a nice color, and it's great, but it becomes quite set. So 3 grams to give it a bit less of that firm custardy texture, a bit more of a softer custard texture. That helps. If you saw my stories, you would have seen the texture of the Basque Cheesecake yesterday and what it was like. So that was with 5 grams. So we're gonna go 3 grams of cornstarch if you're using cornstarch. And if you're using Hojicha, like I said, once again, 1 tablespoon, which is 5 grams. And I'm gonna add it in. Looks like a lot of powder, doesn't it? It's gonna be nice and intense. I love the flavor of it. It's like, it smells really slightly chocolatey, really roasty, warm, definitely very warm in flavor. And that's it, that's our mixture. It's very simple, easy, quick. I don't actually know how long we took to get this. Well, probably 30 minutes, but that's with me talking quite a bit. So yeah, if you're using the dark roasted Zen Wonders matcha, yes, same measurement, same with the matcha as well, same measurement. Doesn't matter if it's Zen Wonders or anyone, it's pretty much the same measurements. Thank you for the badge, Patty Butter. So yeah, that's our batter. Your oven, if it's not preheated, please be sure to preheat it. And when I say preheat, I mean have it going for at least 20 minutes to half an hour before you put it in. You want it to have gone through that cycle of clicking on and off, and you can hear it heating and stopping and reheating up, just to be sure that the temperature in the oven is fully heated through. Don't just heat it up 5 minutes before and put it in. And I wouldn't recommend, actually, using an air fryer might be good in this instance if you have one. And we can talk about that in a bit, but using the regular oven today. We're gonna portion this out into 75 grams in each mold. So, not so. Yeah. Okay. If you want to replace with Earl Grey, are you using the powder? So you'd be using liquid, you said. I wouldn't use liquid. So if you're gonna flavor it with Earl Grey, you can either, number one, grind it into a powder, but that will require certain machinery to get it nice and fine. Let me show you what I've got, if I can reach it. So, realize I keep saying so. Right. Got this here, and this is, you know, coffee grinders, those hand coffee grinder. This is actually for tea, and it has a ceramic plate in there, which I love. So you put your tea on the top. It has this bit here, and it mimics how matcha is ground between two ceramic plates and slowly grinds it down. Essentially, this is what this does. There's two plates there, and you slowly grind it down. Chuck this on, like so, and just rotate it, and it grinds it to a powder. It's a great way to turn any tea into a powder that you could actually bake with, and it makes it really fine, depending on how you adjust it. So get a tea grinder if you want. They have those big stone one, like mortar style ones, but this is just a very small one. It does a very small quantity, which is perfect for home use. It's called Rolex, which is the brand for coffee grinders as well. So yeah. If you're going to use Earl Grey, in this instance, I would heat the cream up and infuse the Earl Grey tea into the cream if you're not grinding it into a powder. Okay, so we're just gonna hop on ahead and fill the tins before I look back at the questions. If not, this will drag on for a little while, and I don't want to bore you all. Just a recap on the ingredients for anybody who's missed it. 100 grams of cream cheese, 50 grams of mascarpone cheese, 64 grams of heavy cream, thickened cream, 35% fat, essentially cream, 1 teaspoon of Parmesan cheese. For me, I grated a teaspoon in. You don't have to. Like I said, that's optional. 46 grams of egg. So 1 large egg, you beat it up, you pour it in, and you've got 46 grams measured out. 24 grams of caster sugar, 24 grams of dark brown sugar or light brown sugar, or 48 grams of caster sugar if you just want to go with pure white sugar. Caster sugar just melts faster into the actual mixture. There's no real reason you can't use regular sugar. A pinch of salt elevates the flavor in my mind, so just a tiny pinch between your fingers, and that's it. Half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of lemon juice. That is optional as well. It just brings out more of acidity to it. If you're making the plain one, actually zest some of the lemons. If you're using fresh lemons as well, that makes it delicious. And then 5 grams of Hojicha powder, which is 1 tablespoon or 3 teaspoons, up to you. And the next bit, 75 grams of batter in each mold, which we're gonna do right now. And we can chat whilst, you know, this is going, once it's in the oven. Okay, so I've got a scoop right here. It's a cookie scoop. I really like this one. It's called Vollrath, Vollrath. I got it when I was in America, actually. Ordered it online on Amazon, but they sell it here as well. You can find it. So yeah, that's the scoop that I'm using. And 75 grams. If you're using a cupcake tin or a muffin tin, once again, please be sure to double line it, because you're gonna need the height to give it structure Yeah, because your cupcake tins are really quite shallow, so that will give it structure. This is 75 grams. Now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do 75 grams to mimic what you've got on your cupcake, muffin, whatever you decide. If you're using a muffin tin which is bigger, like I showed you, as you can see, this is a muffin liner and it's the size of that. We're gonna put 100 grams in this one here. And then we're gonna go with the remainder, which should be about 150, 140 something in that one there. So 100 in this one. And I'll explain why in a bit. But let's measure it out. Oops, that was 102. Okay, we're gonna put the remainder in that. Let me have a look if you've got any questions actually, just to be sure that I don't miss anything. Yeah, if you put more flour, it will make the cake firm. And with this cake being so... Okay, so the use of flour comes in two folds. It helps with ensuring that your batter doesn't split that much, it doesn't turn too watery, but it also makes it firm. Because of how tiny this is, and because of how you want it to burn, it's quite a hard balance. So with the molds, when it's taller, as you can imagine, the way the heat cooks it, it will heat up from the top and sides inwards. The more depth you've got, the more time it has for it to cook the outside and keep the inside cool still. So it has more time to actually caramelize without causing the whole entire thing to be baked through. Now, if you have it really shallow, like in your cupcake tins, what's going to happen is that the difference in the texture is going to be very, very minimal, and you will risk the chance of actually over baking it. So I would recommend under baking it as opposed to over. And then if you're really, really after that caramelized top, which is honestly the point of having a Basque cheesecake, right? You take it out, keep it in let it cool, keep it in the fridge overnight, and you probably hate me for saying this, and then chuck it back under the grill again just to get the color on. You're better off having cake that is not scrambled and set well than one that is scrambled just because you want color. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so which brings me to the reason why I'm doing this in 3 different weights. It's hopefully I'll be able to show you the difference in the texture once they're baked up. And we're going to bake it all at the same time so that, you've got a control, which is the 75 grams one. And yeah. This last one only has 137 grams. So we've got 75. This went to 103. And this is 137. I could take a bit and put that there, but it's fine. For the test, it'll be fine. Now, if you remember what I said, if you're using your cupcake tins, if you're using your cupcake tins and you're lining it with paper, now's the time to just start slicing it off. You don't want it to be too tall because, like I said, you're going to burn the excess paper. So I'm just gonna cut and trim the bottom one so you can actually see it. Moving the scale away. You could also just fold it backwards the way I did over here, and that works as well. So yeah, these are our 3 different weights. Yours will probably be this one here. And let me check if you've got any questions before we put it into the oven. The recipe, I'll keep it on IG stories, but we'll probably upload it as well as I'll save it and I'll upload it onto YouTube as well. What else is there? Yeah, the mixture is quite thin, but it will bake. Thank you for the badge, Dewey. So if you want to make it Nutella flavor, what do you need to put in? I mean, you're gonna have to add Nutella, but you're gonna probably want to remove some cheese, to be honest. Probably some of the mascarpone, because that is fat, and fat content does matter with this. I haven't tried it. Beyond actually trying it out yourself, it's gonna be a bit hard to say in my mind. That's how I feel. And yes, you could torch the top, and I would do it, as you know me. If you follow my stories, I love my torch, but I didn't want to cheat and, you know. So yeah, that'll be fine. So it will rise, it will puff up by that much, whatever that much is, depending on obviously how much batter you've got. It will puff because the egg will give it lift, and if you're using cornstarch structure and everything, it will give it lift as well. So oven preheated to 200 degrees Celsius right now. I drew this tiny little thing for you. So I've got it in that, either or, it's fine. This has been preheating, so that's the temperature. And it's fun to use the blowtorch. And yeah, so we're gonna put it in for 6 minutes. Now with 6 minutes, we're gonna actually chuck it in, immediately switch it to the grill mode. Because you open the door, the temperature of the oven is gonna drop. And because it's dropped, when we switch it to grill mode, what's gonna reheat the oven is the top grill. And because we got it in grill mode, once you put it in, the top grill will start heating up and actually start burning the top. So the way it's gonna cook is the side is still gonna cook from the radiating heat within the oven, but the top is where the blast is really gonna be. So I'm trying to actually just get it as burnt as quick as possible without actually causing the whole entire thing to overcook. That makes sense. But that's just part 1. So we're just gonna have to watch this pretty carefully. If you've got a timer, set your timers, 6 minutes. And then what's gonna happen after is that after that 6 minutes, we're just gonna pop the temperature up to 240 degrees, leaving the grill mode still on. So we're not switching anything. We're just gonna change it to 240 degrees and cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes, depending on what it is. So after a lot of trial and error, that's the decision I came to. And this will hopefully be safe for your non-stick pans. The last 2 minutes shouldn't bring the oven temperature that high that quick. All we're trying to do is just to keep the heat all we're trying to do is to ensure that the heat element stays on and heated throughout. But in the first 6 minutes, it will obviously turn on and off, so it's not gonna, you know, just constantly just burn the top on. We don't want that to happen. If not, it will get quite torched and not even. So yeah, thank you Peachy Forever for the badge. And so that's that. If you're using Milo cocoa powder, Milo has sugar, has milk, please beware, do not add it just as is. You're probably gonna need more as well than usual to get the flavor in. And also a bit more cornstarch just to set it, because fat, you know, might be, I'm guessing here, I'm not 100% sure. Cocoa powder, same as a Hojicha, just add it, that's fine. That's all good. So a tablespoon of that will be fine. All right, a lot of talking later. We're going in 6 minutes. And the mode changed to grill mode. This will be on the top 1/3 of the oven. And that's 6 minutes and counting. Put that away. Gotta wash my hands. I don't think I forgot anything. Pretty sure everything's in there. Yeah. And time to wait and see what happens. Do you have any questions? You want to have a the picture legend for the oven? Yeah. I figured it's the easiest way I'm going to be able to explain the whole entire thing with the modes and everything. So your oven might look different, but gives you a good indication, I guess, of what to look out for. You could put more cream cheese. Once again, it's a flavor. If you add more cream cheese rather than mascarpone, the flavor of cream cheese is stronger, so it'll be cheesier. So I would suggest cream. Just thickened cream would be fine. So yeah, a tablespoon of cocoa powder. And if yours is a convection oven, just turn the element on to the top element. Even if you don't have the fan, it's the best you're gonna get, and it will work, so it's fine. It just won't be the same, but yeah. Pistachio flavor. You're gonna use a pistachio paste. Once again, let me actually have a look at it. Okay, it's baking at least, so that's a good thing. You don't have a grill mode? If you don't have a grill mode, I would suggest just baking it regularly. It won't, like I said, it won't get the color that you want, but it will bake. The top heat is really just coming through. If you do not have a grill mode, you're still gonna have to change the temperature to 240 after 6 minutes. That will get it some color. It will color it a little bit, but it won't be too much. Okay, so air fryer. Yes, thank you for reminding me. So air fryer. That's the oven. So air fryer wise, if you notice when you put stuff into the air fryer, it bakes a lot quicker. If you have never tried baking a cookie in the oven and then in the air fryer, you notice once you bake it at the same temperature, it's gonna be done about 3 minutes, 4 minutes earlier, and it's gonna be really, really, really dark in color. And that's because of the difference between the heat element, well, the distance between the heat element and the actual tray and where the cookie sits on. So this is a great way to get it burnt. So if you've got an air fryer, put it in and get it burnt. So yeah, that's my suggestion. It's yeah, but obviously your muffin pan is not gonna fit in. If you've got tiny little molds like I've got, that will work. And grill mode with fan, yes. We've got 3 minutes more before we turn it on to the grill mode. Yeah, chuck it up to the highest temperature your oven can go to, 240. I'm doing 240 because I know a lot of people probably will sit around that area for your oven. Mine goes up to 280, which is really quite high, but it's also not good to get it too high because it will curdle. I know, I've tried it. So yeah. Pistachio paste, once again, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, I'm sorry. Pistachio paste wise, it's, you just fold it in. That's fine. Pistachio paste, again, it's you're gonna need quite a bit to actually flavor it, to get the flavor through pretty strong if you want. My suggestion is to marble it, put it in, put some pistachio on top and swirl it in, so at least then you get bites of pistachio. So yeah, that would probably be my suggestion. You could just, like I said, mix it in, add a little bit of more cornstarch if you could, just to set that layer a bit better. 190 degrees, yes. Thank you for the tip, Anna. That's very helpful. So yeah, so the original recipe calls for 240 degrees Celsius for, I think 30 minutes, if I'm not wrong. Can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, 190 degrees in 22 minutes. If that does the trick, then that shows the difference. Yeah. If you're gonna put it in the air fryer, I would say 5 minutes at 200 would do the trick. You'll be able to see the consistency. We'll take it out, I'll show you the consistency. You're not gonna get a jiggle because it's such a small little thing. You'll be able to see some jiggle, I hope. But yeah. And yeah, you can use 30% if you can't find 35. it's just once again fat percentage and the moisture content and everything. You might actually need a little bit more flour to, yeah, just to ensure it's not too watery. Let me look back to see. Okay, so nurse cakes, you said that you tried it but the middle doesn't come out creamy. It just sounds like probably overbaked. So once again, go by the jiggle, don't go by the color. If the color is under, that's fine. Grill it. Just turn the grill mode on and let the heat just blast it and burn the top. Don't burn it, caramelize it. You want it dark brown, you do not want it black. It's not good black, it doesn't taste nice. So yeah, let's have a look. Ouch. Yeah. So we're gonna turn it to 240 and we're gonna put it on for about 2 to 3 minutes. That should get it some color. Okay, so that's 6 minutes. And I'm gonna turn it to 240 with the grill mode on. That's going now, and I've got 2 minutes on. I might put 3 on the kitchen timer on the microwave just to see whether it goes for 2 or 3 minutes. Give you a better indication, I guess, on my side. What else is there? Temperature in air fryer 200 as well. Yes, if you could go higher, go higher. That's my suggestion. If you could go for 220, do 220, and it should blast it and get it pretty cooked. The only problem I've got is that the air fryer doesn't let you adjust the heat. I've never actually tried it because of how small it is. I worry it will blast it through quite quickly. So in my mind, yesterday's bakes, I did the bakes at 240. They were fine. Just do it at a shorter time. 240 at a shorter time gets it really nice and like dark on top quickly. And yeah, any brand to recommend for blowtorch? I've motivated you to get one. Okay, so blowtorch. There is no brand. This is one that I got from the hardware store. It's just this bit here. Yeah, I go to the hardware store. You go in, you look for the blowtorch section and just get one that works. And if the tradesmen and tradies use it and it works for them, it works for me, and it's good enough. And then all you gotta do is attach it to the butane gas, and voila. Sorry, I was just bending down to look at the cake. So it's not that colored right now. It probably need that extra minute from the looks of it. Yeah, it's really a game of waiting to see that you get the right color. Without looking at it, it's hard. I've baked this, I don't remember how many I've baked in the last 2 days, and they turn out differently. It comes down to when the oven turns its mode on and off and on and off, and yeah. I'm glad. I hope you're enjoying your blowtorch, Ivy. So if you bake from 240 from the beginning, same timing, but I actually blasted in the last 2 minutes to 280. I would suggest cutting down a minute on the side. Once again, it comes down to how creamy you want it to be. It works at the same timing. And yes, bake with the fan turned on if you could. Okay, so they're not very burnt, right? But they are jiggly. Oh god, this is hot. So they're not very burnt, as you can see, but they are wobbly and no cracks. Well, sort of no cracks, but they're wobbly. And right now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to knock it because I want to knock any residual steam out. I'm not sure if you can see, but yeah. Oops. And then we're just gonna let it cool until it can actually come out of the mold. So this is it. Now, you want it darker, put it back in again, depending on how close yours is to the element. Okay, this is really hot. I'm gonna put it down. Okay, so once again, I'm gonna set 10 minutes just to see how it goes, and whether it's ready to remove it after 10 minutes. Yeah. Full bake time in the oven is 9 minutes for mine. I did 9 minutes. 6 minutes plus 3 minutes. Once again, it comes out to the oven. For example, earlier this morning on my, was it 4th bake? I don't remember how many. I think it was the 4th bake I did today. It colored so quickly because the minute I put it in, the oven temperature had dropped. And during the first 6 minutes, it was constantly just heating up the element on top. So it just colored the top really quickly. Go for it. Once again, jiggle. Yeah, so just go for the wobble, get it nice and wobbly, and yeah, I hope you saw it. If you want to see it again, I can try to wobble it again, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the same. It will start to sink as well once you get it in. So yeah, so 9 minutes is what I did. Go by look at it. I'm turning off the oven just so we don't need it anymore, so I'm turning it off. Yeah, that's the cake. It's not something that we'll be able to eat right now. You'll notice that it's puffed up that much. It didn't puff up that much. It puffed up that much from this height to that height. So what's gonna happen is that once it cools, it's gonna sink again. And when we're heating it, we're just releasing any steam that may be trapped inside, and you know, just let it condense down. Just knock it out. You want to remove it once it's set enough to remove and put it onto a wire rack so it doesn't sweat in there. Yeah. Thank you for the badge, Miss Dottie. Nice name. And so yeah, let me see if there's any other questions that I missed ahead of it. What's the make of my kettle? So, okay, 1 second. Should you sieve the batter before baking? Ideally, yes. In this instance, I didn't. I've baked quite a few. Honestly, if your mixture is smooth, if everything is at room temperature, it shouldn't be lumpy. If you saw the batter I had previously when I was pouring it, it wasn't lumpy. So, sieve it if you want it to be really, really extra smooth and creamy, and that's fine. There's no issue. But it's also fine without it being sieved, as you saw. It's now actually shrunk quite a bit. Let me show you. Okay, all right. Okay, so we've got the 75 grams one. I don't know if you can see can you see it jiggle? No? Yes? So that's the 75 grams one, that's the 103, and that's the 136, was it? And it's very wobbly. But this will give you the creamiest texture. And you could let it cool and put it back in the oven and let it burn even further. Yeah. If it were just usually what I would do, I would probably have blast it to 280 degrees in the 2 minutes rather than 240, just to get it really colored. But like I said, I'm just doing it to show you what it's like, because most of the kitchens probably would just have it to 240. Make a model of my kettle. Sorry, distracted constantly. I'm sorry. This is barista. I don't know if my brother's here, but yeah, he recommended this. This is what they used to use at a cafe where he used to work at. And yeah, it does great. It maintains the heat for an hour at the temperature I want it to be. Yeah. Looks pretty as well. Does the job. It's good. I like it. my work colleagues say it sounds like a jet engine going off in the background when I have meetings. So yeah. Okay, let me have a look at what other questions you've got. If I've missed any of your questions, please feel free to just put it in the message again. Alright. If you want to add Hojicha powder to any recipe in the future, generally what should you amend the recipe if it's even needed? Okay, it depends. I've done it to cookies. So my not an ordinary chocolate chip cookie with a miso in it, you substitute some flour with the Hojicha powder. The problem with that though is that Hojicha works differently to matcha. The hydration, the way it absorbs moisture is different. The dark Hojicha spreads a lot more as well when I tried making it. So I did quite a few batches and trying to work it out was a nightmare. It will cause it to spread more or lesser depending on how much you substitute. If you do 1 for 1, it'll be too much in the sense that the Hojicha absorbs more water than the flour would. So I would put less flour. So if you're putting a teaspoon of Hojicha, I'll take away a teaspoon and a half of flour, if that helps. For the most part, for example, with this cake, I know a lot of other recipes, when they do the dual color, you know, I'm not sure if you've seen the 2-color version of the Basque Cheesecake. Let me know if you've seen it. But yeah, I assume the hearts means yes. So the two-layer version of the Basque Cheesecake, a lot of them just make that vanilla layer. And then what they do is they add the matcha powder or Hojicha powder or whatever powder they want and just mix it in. It's not going to create an issue. It will just make it a little bit more firmer than the top. The same with a lot of other things that you do. For example, with marble cakes, when you just add cocoa powder to the batter, what you'll notice is that the cake layer with the cocoa in it is drier or actually denser. So yeah, it's just what happens when you add more dry ingredients in. Just, you know, sets it a bit more or dries it out a bit more depending on what it is. And so hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so if you're making this without Hojicha powder or matcha powder, you could just add cornstarch, as I was saying, 3 grams of cornstarch. Now, if you saw the last live with the cashew cookie, I mentioned that cornstarch actually absorbs more water than flour, so it actually absorbs about double the amount. So if you're gonna put in 100 grams of flour and replace it with 50 grams of cornstarch, if you're gonna use 50 grams of cornstarch, remove 100 grams of flour. But cornstarch has no gluten in it, so please beware. Don't just the texture that you're gonna get out of the baked item is going to be very different. Now, in this instance, we're not really trying to build gluten. We're not trying to make bread. We're not trying to make cake. It's not trying to hold anything per se. It's just really trying to set it. So flour, cornstarch, that's fine. But with other stuff like cookies or bread or cakes, if you replace all your flour with cornstarch, it's going to turn into gloop for the most part. Vanilla cocoa powder, definitely go for it. Just replace it in the same amount, 1 tablespoon or 1 tablespoon. Hojicha powder is also, I forgot to mention this just now. Hojicha powder is more intense than cocoa powder. So if you put a glass of water, 2 glasses of water, and put a teaspoon of Hojicha and a teaspoon of cocoa powder, you notice that the flavor of the cocoa powder is not as strong as the Hojicha. So just beware when you're adding that. Intensity is going to be different. Which is why with cookies you put so much cocoa powder in it. So if you put a tablespoon, it's just gonna lightly flavor it. How much truffle if you make a truffle Basque cheesecake? I have no clue. I have not tried to make a truffle one. I've seen them and they interest me. They sound really interesting. I would cut back the sugar on that, to be honest. Add some honey. Sorry, that was a 10-minute mark, just to say 10 minutes. I'm gonna check to see if the cake can come on the tin or if it's still a bit soft. We'll give it a few more minutes. If you take it off too soon from the tin, what's gonna happen is that it might just, what do you call it? Explode in a sense, like just lose its structure and just flow out. My cookbook collection, you don't want to see it. It's all over the place. It's everywhere, essentially, where I feel like it. I've got some on the table at the back, got some in the room there, I've got in the closet, I've got it everywhere. I do not have a bookshelf, it's just everywhere. Yeah. I can't cut the cheesecake right now because like every cheesecake, what's gonna happen is that it's gonna be very, very soft and gooey. It's gonna just flow everywhere. And I wanted to show you the difference in the texture once it's set. So I can't cut it right now. So yeah. I did show you some cookbooks in the last one, yes. So if you are looking for it, they were saved, I think in the live. You should be able to find that. So yeah. Are there any other questions? Anything else? Any other recipes that you are curious about? Yeah, feel free to just pop it in the questions and I'll try my best to answer it. Just out of curiosity, how many of you are actually baking along today? I don't know if you're busy looking at your oven if you're baking along, so you're probably not seeing this, but yeah. Are you baking? Is anyone baking along this evening? How long does a cheesecake take to set? Do you mean once it's baked? Have I ever tried Hojicha bread? Yes. Glad to see that you're baking along, Pavlova. Have I tried a Hojicha bread? Yes, I've tried a Hojicha bread. I think, when did I try it? Oh my god, I can't remember. I would like to say yes, and I have said yes, but I can't actually remember. But if you're looking to make Hojicha bread, just add some Hojicha powder to it and be delicious. My suggestion is Hojicha bread with the babka nuts, chocolate and Hojicha. They're delicious. You'll adore my love for fatty beef. Oh my. Let me show you something actually. I made some butter, beef fat butter, using the A5 Wagyu beef fat. So I haven't used it yet, but I basically whipped it up. So it's nice and white, as you can see. Rendered the fat out, and yeah, it smells great. So really excited to use that. So yes, how long will it take to set? It's hard to say. So right now, looking at the cheesecake, it's come out of my tin and I've put it on I've took it out of the tin and I've put it on a rack. As you can see, it's no longer in that. It's no longer in the mold. It's on a rack. But to be honest, as you saw, the way I held it, the mold is no longer hot. The only issue you're trying to avoid is moisture and too much condensation. I don't know if you can see, but can you see the condensation forming? So yeah, that's how much condensation forms. Well, there, so it makes the paper wet as well. So yeah, and I can show you the tray. I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a lot of water condensation on the actual tray itself, so yeah. Any other questions? Baked cheese tart, I love eating it. I've not made it. I keep telling myself I'll try to make it, I'll do it, but I never got around to doing it. Where did I get my Japanese grill from? I got it online from Chef Armory. It's a store here in Melbourne and Sydney. So if you're in Australia, you can order online and they will deliver it. They also sell the Tosa Binchotan, so the Japanese Binchotan, if you're after that. So yeah. after trying 3 different types of charcoal that's supposed to be low in ash and low in like high heat, low ash, long burn time. The Japanese one is still the best, but for price point, it's really quite high. I really like the Shiro Ogatan as an alternative. It creates more ash, but it heats up pretty quickly. It stays hot as well, and it's cheaper. And I know some people were asking me as well because they were concerned with how expensive it was, how long it burns for. So I bought 3 kg of it, and I've yet to use it all up. And you know how often I grill meat, so yeah. Any other questions? For the focaccia recipe, is it better to mix with a stand mixer by hand? You can do it by hand. It takes longer. It doesn't take longer. It just requires more effort because you just got to do folds every 30 minutes. But it will work. So just do it the usual way. You'll fold your bread, and once you get until it's doubled in size, you go into the oven, chuck it into the fridge, and let it sit overnight. Or you could just go on to the next step and just put it into a pan, dimple it, let it proof again, and dimple it out and bake it. 1 teaspoon Hojicha powder for the standard 500 grams of bread dough. You saw how much Hojicha powder we use in this. We use a tablespoon. So a teaspoon is gonna be very light. Like I said, I like my flavors a bit more intense, so just go by flavor really, how much you like it. And if you have got a microwave at home or a pan, break some bread off. It's not gonna taste great, but break some bread off and cook it in the air fryer, in the microwave, on a pan or something, and then just taste it. So you're not eating raw dough, you're actually eating cooked dough, but you're able to taste the flavor at the very least. And you can add more powder to it if you need to. But like I said, it'll dry out your bread, so add more liquid. So add a bit more water as well. How do I stay so slim despite having so much good food? Thank you. I don't know if you noticed, I've gotten like chubbier since the last live, so yeah. Yeah. And so I don't really have an answer for that. Bought a jar of black sesame paste for my mochi muffin, and you're going to try out other black sesame muffins, how to use it up. Rather than using popcorn nuts, you could do it with black sesame nuts. I love black sesame paste. I just use it in everything, to be honest. Black sesame ganache is great. Black sesame nama is delicious. I would recommend it. You've got my matcha nama recipe. Use black sesame. Replace some of the chocolate with black sesame and add a little bit of sesame oil. It just boosts that sesame flavor, and it's savory, and you get that really fragrant scent. But it might not be for everybody. And obviously I would add a bit more salt as well if you're making a nama, because it just makes it gives you that salty sweet flavor with the black sesame savoriness, and the sesame oil is just delicious. So yeah. Baking supply stores in Sydney, I don't really know. I would say online is your best suggestion. I usually order online, and for the most part, it seems like quite a lot of stuff come out of Sydney. There's a few requests to actually be in the live video. I don't know if it was accidental, so let me know if it's not. I don't want to click and, you know, have the camera turn on accidentally on your end. Yeah, I will save the bake for later if you've missed it, and so that should be fine. Do you have any other questions? I realize I've gone on for quite a while and we've been chatting for quite a bit. Hopefully I'm not boring you. Black sesame sourdough buns. Yes, that would be good as well. Alright. I'll give it another minute or so just in case it's lagging. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all the badges and donations. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed tonight. Yeah, I had fun. I will post on my stories the results of the different versions for you to see. I'm hoping at your end you had fun baking along and it turned out good for you as well. Let it cool to room temperature. Chuck it in the fridge overnight. Let it firm up, or you can just leave it at room temperature. It's your call. And yeah, that's that for this bake along. Once again, let me know what you like, and I'll try my best to do another one soon. I don't know if Raymond is still on here, but we were chatting about maybe doing a blackout brownie. We shall see. So cool. Yeah. Hello Malaysia. Hello Laura from Malaysia. So yeah. So thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna close it off here and good night. I hope you guys have a great week tomorrow, and thank you again for tuning in Financiers. I like Financiers. I love it. I love a lot of butter in my Financiers, which might not be for everybody because I love butter. So maybe we might do that, but it will have to be over 2 days though. So let's see how we go. Blackout brownies next, perhaps. We shall see. Alright then. Good night, everybody. Madeline's wise, I've done a Madeline live previously as well. It's on YouTube. Check it out. I did it with my brother as well. So it's over 2 days. You'll be able to see the 2 parts on there. And good night. See ya. I'm just gonna have to figure out how to turn this off.